All right, like, thank you for tuning the channel today. And I thought it's a nice warm day out today, so it'd be a good day to go out, fire up the Texas toy, and warm it up. You know, just check all the systems on it. That thing's been sitting for a few months, and you know, I really on an old Detroit, I don't like when it's cold outside. I don't want to crank it. You know, it's hard on them. So you know, when it's warm like this and it's a warm day, closer in the winter, it's going to sit for a while. So it's a good day to pull it out. Like I said, just fire everything up, let it warm up and all those good things. But since I was going to do that today, I said, you know, I'm going to go ahead and shoot a video, and I'm going to walk y'all through the systems I check, kind of the things I do on the truck before, you know, we fire it up or if we take it somewhere, things like that. So it's been sitting a few months. It has not started, and so I don't know if it's going to start. Could have dead batteries, could be a lot of things, but we're going to check these things today. So some of the first things I do when I look around it, and as you'll see, I'll turn the camera around. So of course it's a Detroit. It leaks oil in my garage, but as you know, if a Detroit is not leaking, it doesn't have oil in it. Overall inspections when I walk around, just checking for leaks under the axles, the planetaries. Everything looks pretty good. We don't have any new leaks, so everything should have good fluid in it. This box, I've already checked it, it's good. And then right here on your transmission, you can see it's full. When we crank it up, it's going to drop down. We'll check that level again once it warms up. That's an Allison CLT 750 right here. Some of the next systems I check, this is my hydraulic system right here. Basically the hydraulic system is just for the steering. And let me get my flashlight and I can show y'all. When I look up here at the top, if you look right up through there, you can see that sight glass. We're about 3/4 full on hydraulic fluid. I don't know if y'all can see that or not. It's up there. So we're good there on hydraulic fluid. This is the transmission and oil filter, engine oil filter back here. Nothing really to check there, they're sealed up. This is the ray core here. We look, that's not floating, so we don't have any water in the water separator that we need to drain. We're good for that. Fuel, we'll check that when we get up top. Everything else, transmission, lines look good. Don't see any real leaks anywhere that it's developed just sitting here. Fuel filters right there on the sides, just a bald one. Okay, when we come around this side here, the way we have to check the oil in this thing, right here on the engine block, right under the alternator here, I've got a plug. We'll go ahead and check the engine oil. And on Detroit's, it's supposed to be about 1 inch below the pan level. So as long as we're close to within that inch. Got the plug out. And then got the old trusty zip tie right here. I'll put a bend in it. And then we'll get it up here. Drop it down. And I generally check it. And yes, we're about 1 inch below the pan, so we're good there. Go get this plug back in right here on the block. This is the four-wheel drive disconnect right here. You can see I leave that in all the time. Anytime I'm driving it, I want it four-wheel drive. Okay, so the brakes on this truck are pressure to engage. And so because they're pressure to engage, if you look up here on the back of the gearbox, you'll see we've got a big drum brake. And this big drum brake is pressure to release. And so if you ever lose air pressure, then the powertrain of the vehicle will stop and lock up. And so you always have your emergency brake that you can release the pressure from, and it will stop the truck. This is where the diesel and the hydraulic filler is. It's the same tank that was in this truck when it was built. Let me get my flashlight for you. You can see right there, we just got the main and the return, and then you can see the hydraulic tank fill right there. So right here under the truck, under the fender well, that's how you access both of those. Just the K5LA train horns, and then the batteries are right below those up in the front. There is a small hydraulic pump located right up here on the frame. If you see, I'm gonna move this up. It's kind of dark, it's hard to see. It's on this side, and that is just for the cab actuators. So basically, I'm gonna raise the cab on the truck. That hydraulic pump, it's got a controller up in the top. For me to do that, if I do want to raise the cab, if I've got to work on anything, if you look right here, you basically can unbolt this bumper the way I've designed it, and it'll fold forward. There's one connector under the dash you have to unplug for all the gauges because that lifts up. And then right here, if you unbolt this side and the other side right here, then that allows this whole cab to tilt up. And that tilt process, it tilts on that pin back there in the very back, if you can see it. And then, if you noticed, I put flanges up here on the exhaust. Let me get my flashlight for you. So when the bed comes down, these little cones come over the top of the flange. It's like a bell cone, I guess, and seals on the exhaust. So whenever it tilts up, the stacks and the bed go up with it. Okay, so now we basically checked everything on the bottom. I'm gonna climb up on this tire here. Sorry if the camera's shaking a little bit. Then generally I'll walk out on this bumper right here. Okay, so I'm sitting on the driver tire. This is your orbital for your steering right here. And it basically controls the steering on just the front. I've got a switch in the cab for the back. Here's your temperature sensor right here. It's one of your main temp sensors. And then right here coming out, this is for your heater. If you're not using the heater and it's summertime, you can close this valve. If you want the heater to work in the cab, you can open it up. And then like I said, we've got our AC compressor mounted right here. We just check our belt tensions, we're good there. Like I said, there's your controller on the other side for the coolant. You see that blue box, and it actually senses the return temperature going into the block. And so you're basically, the fans are running on demand and they're variable speed. So they won't just kick on until the water warms up. And then in the front right there, we've got our AC condenser with the two fans on it. We'll run all these systems and check all these systems when we pull it out. Alright, so we probably got about a cup out of the blow case for our air boxes. Wasn't a whole lot, but good to get it drained. Pretty much checked everything on the outside of the truck. I'm good with everything. So let me get the door open. I'll set this down. Get climbed up in here. Okay. Let me clean that windshield. It's pretty dirty. It's dusty. Okay. So in the cab, basically, a pretty common back seat. Got the roll cage here, goes over here, around the top here, and then you can see the flooring. I did build a cowl over the engine back in the day. Used to sit on top of the motor. Got an instrument panel right there. It's just a park and brake. This is my interlock. So basically, if I want to ship the transmission manual, I can flip it one way. I want to do automatic, flip it the other. But the valve body in this Allison set up really tight, and so the motor is screaming before it shifts. I think the shifts are set at like 2100, so it's basically pretty rough to drive an automatic, and it was designed to pull sleds, and so that's why it's set up that way. My controller's right here for my cab, up and down. This is my rear steering. This is my keel, and then this is my shifter. So basically, if it's got air and you're running, one click back, neutral, and then it's one more click, and that puts in forward. Now if I'm in full auto down there, it's first, second, third, fourth, fifth. Now if it's in manual, then that one click forward puts me in fifth, then fourth, then third, then second, then first. And so that's basically how I shift out of it. I put a truck AC in here. Pretty self-explanatory. It's just got AC and heat. I'm going to run that system today, make sure everything's good on that. And overall, that's about it. Got your cab switches here. Throttle in your brake. Not a lot to it. So I guess let's go ahead and quit talking, and let's see after sitting a few months if this thing's going to start. We're waiting on our panel to power up. Let's give it a second. We got 34% fuel in it. Reading 0 on the oil pressure. Sensor reading little bits off. Everything looks good. About 11 volts. No air pressure. And that tack's had a jump in it. I need to put a filter on that. Alright, let's see what it does.
Sixty
no leaks. Everything works good on that. Shut that system off. Go down here. We want to flip over to release the parking brake. And we're going to manual shift. See, now when I flip this to forward, that's fifth gear. You can tell it's barely wanting to roll. So that's back to neutral. For me to get first gear, it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now we're locked in first. So thanks for tuning the video today. The question was, would it start after sitting? Of course, this thing sat for like 10-15 years and it started right up, so it's always going to start. Please hit that like, please hit that subscribe. We'll catch you on the next video.